What a Strange Little Colt. Written by Onward. Chapter 12. Onward and Upward, Part 1. Monday. Twilight listened to the rain drum on the roof of the train car. The light, rhythmless barrage normally brought comfort and relaxation, a constant background noise meant to accompany a warm cup of tea, a soft blanket, and a good book. But when paired with the constant, regular chug-chug-chug that shook the carriage, all Twilight heard was discomfort. The mismatched noises were anxious, sloppy, and unprepared, and she didn't need any reminders of her feelings of the task at hoof. The unicorn inhaled deeply and looked back at the short, less-than-sweet letter that lay on her lap.
Twilight, it is a relief to hear that you are en route with the Interloper. I fear Luna may be. Please bring it to the palace as soon as you are able. Celestia.
Don't tell me you're reading that again. Looking Glass eyed her from his place on the seat opposite of her own. You already know what it says. Nothing on it is reassuring. Twilight sighed.
I can't really help it. It's so short.
She read it again, ignoring Looking Eye's eye roll.
The princess is never this concise, and her writing is never this sloppy. I'm worried.
Well, we're working just about as fast as we can. She breathed deeply, trying to lessen the ache in her chest, and wondered when they would be far enough away from Ponyville to escape the storm. The raindrops streaking sideways across the window offered no answers.
I know,
she finally replied.
But every second we don't deliver is another second we risk him finding out what's going on.
She snorted and snapped her hoof.
Can't this thing go any faster?
You saw it. It has no idea this is something to be concerned about. He gave her a reassuring smile. It's got no reason to. The creature's new to Equestria, so... Her eyes widened, she snapped her hoof to her lips.
Shh! Are you crazy? Aren't you worried he'll hear?
Oh, I'm not worried. The Interloper's in the next car with Spike and the others. He waved his hoof at the far end of the train car. It's never left Ponyville, so it'll be trying to blend into a different environment, and the rest of them are probably talking about how rude it was for the bureaucrat stranger to pull you away from your friends to talk business. No worries. I'm happy to take the blame for that one. Twilight bit her lip.
Well, if you say so.
She wasn't convinced, and every rumble and jolt of the train made her on edge.
Was that the sound of hoofsteps outside the door? Or was that just a bump on the track?
She frowned.
Even if it were some pony, it's far too noisy between cars to hear us speak.
The creature was new to Equestria. You can tell by its behavior. He tapped his hoofs together as he spoke. It's strange mannerisms. It's not quite right accent. It seems like it was just adapting to the goings-on around it on the fly. The council even mentioned how oddly it behaved when it first arrived. Now, admittedly, that all doesn't explain everything. But you and I both know there are stranger traits an interloper can have. Remember the entry about the one that turned ponies inside out and...
Yes, I remember.
Twilight grimaced and held out a hoof.
Reading about that once, it was plenty. Thank you.
Of course. Apologies. Looking Glass blushed a little and shuffled a bit on his seat. My point is that things are going well for the moment. No need to panic. You've double-checked the inscriptions on the bindings? His horn lit up and he levitated 2 leather braces out of his saddlebags. The silvery, faintly glowing inscriptions made them look almost beautiful. Twilight nodded.
I tested them on myself. The second we get even one of them around the Interloper's foreleg, any magic it tries to summon will be siphoned off. No transformations, no discharges. Then we just have to get it to touch Luna, and our problem will solve itself.
And I'll be near him all through Canterlot, just in case I need to get these on him at a moment's notice. Looking Glass replaced the bindings. I'm confident we've done all we can, at least for the moment. Nothing we can do now but stay alert. The train rumbled around them. The engine huffed and chugged, muffled by distance and wind.
Thanks, Celestia, the train's mostly empty.
Some primal force of luck must have been on their side. No prying eyes, no clueless strangers walking up and involving themselves, and best of all, low chance of casualties should something go terribly wrong on the ride to Canterlot. Really, only the Counselor and Rainbow would be in danger.
Rainbow Dash.
She got that glimmer in her eye whenever the Colt struck a pose or cracked a dumb joke or acted like a smart aleck. Rainbow would stick up for Gabriel like she would any of the girls. The thought pinned Twilight's ears against her skull. They needed to be separated. And when Rainbow finally found out,
she has to know it's for the better. We're trying to save a princess.
She groaned.
I really wish Rainbow hadn't insisted on coming along so convincingly. This would all be so much easier if she stayed in Ponyville.
The stallion grimaced. Yes, she was rather, vocal. Still, we knew she would probably resist being left behind. And that's what the backup plan is for. It should give us enough time even with her speed. Twilight knew, logically, that he was right, and nodded.
We're doing the right thing,
She said more to herself than looking.
That Colt is a being from another world. He is an interloper. Even if by some infinitesimal chance he isn't malicious, it won't matter. We still have to save Princess Luna. I know I'm doing the right thing. So why does it feel so bad?
Looking Glass reached out a hoof and touched its edge to hers. I know that it isn't easy. I'm not comfortable with the situation either. It's built a personality. It looks just like a little foal, he said quietly. And I know your friend and the counselor aren't going to understand at first, but we're doing it to help them. To help every pony. To help Princess Luna. We can't back down, no matter what. They're counting on us.
I know. I'm just nervous, is all.
Twilight gave a little smile.
Thanks for all your help, by the way.
The stallion laughed. You know, Twilight, you've really changed since we left our schooling. What happened to that awkward filly who could barely keep a conversation going? Twilight giggled a little at that, despite herself.
I suppose she became an element of harmony.
Ah, yes. Are you sure you don't want the rest of your friends along? Her smile disappeared.
I don't want the situation getting any more, complicated than it has to be. I wouldn't feel like a really good friend if I dragged them along just for an uncomfortable decision, even if it is a difficult one. Heck, I feel like I'm a pretty terrible friend already.
Looking nodded. Well, have you got the backup letters? You know, just in case. He nodded to her saddlebags. She ate them as well, staring at the one she knew contained 4 tightly wrapped scrolls, ready to be sent at a moment's notice.
They're ready,
Twilight said.
Hopefully we won't have to use the most powerful magical artifacts in Equestria for this, but if it comes to it, I can tell the rest of the girls to get to Canterlot as soon as possible. The express chariot tickets are already in there.
Looking chuckled. You really do plan for everything, don't you? The far door made a loud clunk, and its doorknob began to jiggle. Twilight and Looking both yelped, and their heads snapped to the end of the train car. A moment later, it swung open, strengthening the train's rumble to a roar and even revealing a little green Colt. The 2 ponies stared at the imposter, and he raised an eyebrow. He trotted into the car, letting the door swing shut behind him.
What's with the look?
Twilight blinked. To be perfectly honest, you caught us somewhat by surprise. Looking Glass came to the rescue with an awkward laugh. We weren't expecting the door to make such a startling noise.
Sorry about that.
The Colt began to make his way down the aisle.
You guys done talking business in here yet? Not quite yet, Gabriel.
Twilight said, forcing an even tone to her voice.
But we'll be back with every pony in a second.
He chuckled as he paused at their booth.
Oh, no worries from me. I don't care about whatever you guys are talking about. The others are the ones who's wondering why you're taking so long. I'm just looking for the bathroom.
He gave them both a broad grin and trotted out the next door.
Ciao!
Once it had shut behind him, blocking out the wind and quieting the train car's cabin, Looking Glass pointed his hoof. See? No idea. Twilight breathed a partially relieved sigh.
I think you're right. Now, let's get back to the others before it comes back. I don't want to be gone too long.
Right behind you. Spike's claws tapped on the train car's floor as he made his way to the empty space, humming to himself. The way the walls around him rumbled and shook didn't bother him as much as it did the other ponies, even when it was too loud to hear over, like now, as it rumbled up the foothills of Mount Canner. Perhaps it had something to do with his dragon nature.
Maybe I'm just used to those kind of noises.
The little dragon imagined himself making a throaty railroad growl as he opened another door and stepped through, onto the platform between the cars. The railroad ties sped below him so fast they were only wooden blurs on the mountain's slate-gray stone. He elected not to think about what would happen if he fell, and stepped through the next door, smacking right into a pony.
Off!
Off! The two went tumbling into the train car in a heap of limbs. Spike's eyes widened and he untangled himself as quickly as he could manage. His face grew hot as he got to his feet and held out a claw.
Sorry about that, Gabe. My bad.
No worries, dude. I've been through worse, said Gabriel, taking the outstretched limb and hauling himself to his hooves. Didn't expect to literally run into anyone else here, though. Spike raised an eyebrow.
He said anyone. Yeah, I'm only following you to the bathroom.
The little Colt shrugged.
Well, you're not gonna have any luck here. I've been all the way to the end and I haven't found one. He seemed pretty confident he knew where he was going when he left.
Spike thought.
Weird.
The little dragon snorted.
Guess I'm out of luck till we get to Canterlot then. Good thing it's not that far.
Yeah, good for me too. I was considering doing my business off the back of a train. Spike snorted and let out a laugh.
Oh, dude. Ty would freak if she caught me doing that.
Ah, that's part of the fun, Gabriel said with a grin of his own. Then the Colt tilted his head and tapped his chin. Hey, Twilight seems a little neurotic today, yeah? Well, more than usual, I mean. Spike rolled his eyes and scoffed. What an understatement.
No, you have no idea.
Oh? The Colt leaned up against one of the seats and crossed one foreleg over the other, grinning.
Do tell.
The little dragon crossed his own arms and set his shoulder against another bench.
Dude, she's been running herself ragged over things this past couple of days.
What's been going on? Spike began to count on his fingers.
Well, first, she gets this super mysterious letter from Princess Celestia, telling her to research a bunch of old banned magic. Then that Canterlot stallion from the Royal Bureau of Snobs shows up to help with finding some sort of magical, interdimensional monster or something. I don't really know the whole story.
The gold eyes widened.
What? Oh yeah, you're new in town. This sort of thing seems to happen a lot, so don't worry about it too much. The longer you hang around Twi and her friends, the more you'll see that they get involved in all sorts of crazy stuff.
He grinned at the Colt.
You're living with Rainbow, so, hey, maybe you already found that out. Woof.
Gabriel ran a hoof across his mane.
I've certainly learned my fair share living with her. And then, as if that wasn't all enough, she gets a letter from Celestia saying that Princess Luna is really sick because of a monster.
He rubbed the side of his head.
You can imagine that it's been driving Twi up the freaking wall. Wait, the princess is sick? Yeah.
Spike said, his face falling.
I think things are really bad. Twi's been so caught up in trying to help her. She's thrown herself into it so much that I think she barely notices when I'm around. I should consider myself lucky that I even got brought on this trip. Sounds like a lot to deal with.
The Colt rubbed his foreleg.
Well, do you think they're gonna catch the monster? Is that why you're going to Canterlot? If I had to guess, we're up here to find some magical scroll or doohickey or something to help her out. And she brought that nice mare and Rainbow along to give her a hoof. Which would be why you're getting dragged along with this.
He shrugged.
All I really know is that Twilight will get the job done no matter what. At this point, I've learned just to sort of go with it. Figure things out as they come and decide what to do then. Way less stressful that way. You ain't kidding.
The Colt smiled and held out a hoof.
I think I could stand to learn a thing or two from you, Spike.
Spike grinned and bumped it with a fist.
I wouldn't mind hearing that more often.
He turned around and together, the two began to make their way back up the train. The engine hissed and brakes squealed as their train groaned to a stop at the Canterlot main station. Any hint of storm clouds and rain had been left behind. The clear afternoon sky filled its massive windows, pouring sunlight down onto the throngs of ponies milling about the platform. Gabe hopped off the carriage and onto the platform right away, his eyes wide as the grand hall arcing above them. Rainbow Dash smiled as he ogled the sight, even if she was a little befuddled at his odd muttering.
This is what Grand Central must have looked like. Hey, kid, don't wander off too far.
She called as the others began to trot off the train. Twilight and the weird bureaucrat chatted quietly with one another, while Sandy Heels followed Spike, the two of them coming up next to Rainbow.
I'm so nervous,
the counselor said, looking a little green around the gills as they all began to move towards the station's exit.
I can't believe the ministry responded to my report so quickly.
Rainbow patted her on her withers.
Don't sweat it, Sandy. You're great at your job. These Canterlot snoots would have to be idiots not to recognize how much they care about what you do.
She widened her eyes and blushed, looking into a smirking looking glass.
Sorry. No offense, dude.
He chuckled. None taken at all, Miss Dash. I'm well aware that we Canterlotians can be somewhat self-centered at times.
Anyway, if they take you off the job, those death jockeys are gonna have to deal with me.
Rainbow bounced in the air and flexed, smacking her hooves together for good measure.
And they're not ready for all of this.
Gabe laughed at that, snorting as he walked. Rainbow felt her heart swell with pride, and found it difficult to hide her giggly grin behind a machismo smirk. The six exited Canterlot Station a few quick bathroom trips later, walking into a warm afternoon sun and brilliantly fresh mountain air. Mood soared all around as they began to make their way through Canterlot. Throngs of often extravagantly dressed ponies filled the roads, filling the spaces with energetic voices and forming a colorful river flowing in all directions between the whites, golds, and purples of the street-side buildings crowding for space. Ponyville Storm was nothing more than a far-off thought here, while the skies were a jaw-dropping blue and proved a perfect backdrop for the colorful Pegasi flying through the sky. The sight of ponies dipping and gliding overhead filled Rainbow with energy, and she let out a whoop, performing a twisting loop-a-loop and coming in for a landing that would have had Applejack huffing and telling her to be a tad less dramatic, Sugar Cube. Oh, it felt so good to finally stretch her wings.
Yeah,
she said, grinning at Twilight and Sandy.
Sweet Celestia, was I ever cooped up in that tiny train?
The counselor hid a giggle behind a polite hoof, and Twilight smiled.
He better get out to the ministry before he missed those meetings, but I'm sure there'll be time to enjoy the day afterward.
They were blue raspberry, but only a little one.
Alright. Let's get a move on.
The group set off, pushing their way to the midday crowds. Once again, Gabe insisted on walking on the edges of the street, near the building's colorful facades and fanciful displays. Rio made sure to keep a close eye on him, but he seemed to be sticking to the others. The Colt rubbernecked at every detail, though. His eyes wide at everything from a countess's immaculate dress to the ivy crawling up one of the city's many towers. It brought a smile to her face, and she lowered her head to his level.
Pretty crazy, right?
He laughed.
This place is insane. There's just so much of it. Yeah, that was pretty much my reaction the first time I saw Canterlot,
she said.
I've never seen a city so alive and active. It's so open and colorful, and every pony's just walking around. There must be thousands and thousands of ponies living here.
Right you are, said a looking glance as the group entered the street corner square. Despite the location, Greater Canterlot has over 1 million citizens. His voice swelled with pride. Rainbow thought that wasn't all that impressive, but she held her tongue. She also didn't mention that Clydesdale had a cool 2 million.
Oh, huh.
Gabe seemed impressed for the most part, but had already been distracted by a troop of guards marching through the square in formation, dressed head to toe in their royal armor. Surfaces polished to an immaculate shine caught the sun and threw it all about, transforming the ponies into barrages of golden shimmers. Their armored boots clinked and clacked against the cobblestone under hoof.
Hey, Sandy, what are those guards doing?
Gabriel said.
Huh?
Sandy pulled her eyes off a troupe of actors performing in a hastily constructed wooden stage, and turned to the Colt as she trotted.
Oh, I don't know. I'll be honest, Oops, sorry.
She blushed at the scowling mare that just bumped into her and turned back to Gabriel.
I'm pretty unfamiliar with what the guard does besides, guarding the princess.
Gabe shrugged.
That's alright. I'll just ask one the next time I get a chance. Hey, Twy. Don't you know some ponies in the Royal Guard?
Spike said.
Besides your brother, I mean. Hey, do you think he's stationed in town? Maybe we could visit. I'm not sure. I haven't heard from him in a while, and besides him, only a few.
Tyler replied, turning away from her conversation with looking.
And I haven't been in touch with them since I was at school.
She perked up a little, raising her head.
Oh, that reminds me, Rainbow. I've been meaning to ask for your help.
The Pegasus grinned and answered without a moment's hesitation.
Of course, Twy. How can the ever-awesome Rainbow Dash give you a hoof?
She expected Twilight to smile, but she didn't. Instead, she looked like she'd eaten some particularly old cheese, and not the good kind of old either.
You remember that problem I told you about?
She said. Rainbow nodded.
Well, since we're in Canterlot, and you just stopped by the palace library to pick up a scroll, can you help me look for it? Why does she look so uncomfortable? What's wrong?
Spike leaned closer to the Colt.
Got it.
The Pegasus raised an eyebrow.
Sure, but aren't we trying to make this meeting?
Actually, Miss Dash, Looking said, butting in. Only Miss Hills, Gabriel, and I must attend the meeting. It's quite alright if we split up for a little while. Rainbow's brow furrowed and she frowned.
Is this a good idea?
Something didn't feel right, and Looking Glass was standing just a little too close to Gabe. But her friend Twilight had asked her for help, and Rainbow Dash didn't just leave a friend hanging.
I guess. As long as we're not gone for too long.
She looked at Gabriel.
Is that alright with you, kid? Yeah, I'll be fine.
Gabe said, perfectly relaxed.
I can handle these nerds, no problem.
Beside him, Spike looked confused about something. She grinned.
That's the spirit, kiddo. Let me know how it goes, alright? Can do.
He said with a lazy smile before looking at Twilight.
Good luck with that. Thanks.
She replied with an awkward grin.
Alright, Rainbow. Let's go.
Why did that make her uncomfortable? Dash nodded, passing on one last concerned glance at the counselor.
Keep an eye on him for me. Okay, Sandy? Of course, Rainbow.
She said with a nervous smile.
See you soon.
Uh-oh, they've now split up Rainbow and Gabe. I wonder how they're going to get him to Luna without him bugging off or running away. Well, we'll definitely see in the next section of this chapter. And honestly, I might just finish this fic. There's only around 25,000 words left, counting this half of a chapter. And the next chapter is only 10,000 words, so we'll see. We'll see. Either we extend it by a week, or we continue down this path. I'll see how much I can get done within my weekend today. This week. Ugh, so many words. But what I don't mind repeating are saying thank you to my wonderful Patreons. Thank you, my tier 1s, Chase Lemaster, Jason, Squall, Windfeather, Lunar Gaze, 8th Day of Night, Starlight Blaze, Hyperlink, Night Game, Redeemer of Dark, Dreamless Portal, and Balanced Kindness. My tier 2s, Captain Blueshadow, The Animated Ghost, Solus, HK4, AK Texture, Sword Brother and Mordred, Nocturne, DJMX 2000, Papa Lennon, Can Panzer, Elemental Wolf, and H1 Wolf King. And of course, a large thank you to my Titan tiers, User 1842, Dark Guardian, Danish Dash, and Maverick. And of course, a large thank you to Silent Titan. I appreciate you guys' support so much, and it means a ton to me. That aside, however, this has been Firehearth. Have a wonderful day.